Okay, so this is our bale unroller. We use this to spread hay all over our pastures as we strip graze. So we'll strip graze one day, then unroll a bale the next. So how this works, we'll start at the hitch. It's got a 2-inch ball. Attaches to a 4-wheeler, or in our case, a side-by-side. This whole mechanism hinges, okay? So you can see how this works. And then this is how we control the hinging mechanism. So we've got a quick disconnect handle on this. Then you can release this. And what we do is, you can see as you back up to a bale, you let this down and you can adjust at what point you want to stick the spears in the bale. And we'll stick this back on so I don't lose it. But you come back here, you back up to the bale. I like to leave these on just to help me align things, but take the chains off, slide the spears out on each side. Back up to where the center of the bale lines up with each spear. Most of the time we can press these in by hand or with a couple kicks of your foot. Sometimes we do have to use like a maul or a dead blow hammer if the bale is really tight in the center. But you just push these into the center of the bale, rehook this on each side. And then you can come back to the crank. This is a 2-speed crank, so if somebody's not strong enough, like if you got a little guy or a little lady helping you, you can use the slow speed, or you can switch it over and use the high speed. But you just crank it, and this is what picks the bale up. And we'll raise it all the way up to the top. And that's how you pick the bale up. This will work with 6x5s, 5x5s. It'll work with like 6x4s or 5x4s as well. But you got to be careful with the narrower bales, because the bale's kind of in the center more so, and you can bend these spikes if you're not careful. In order to unroll the bale, all you simply do is unhook this, and then you can come up here. It doesn't matter how big the bale is or how heavy it is. You can literally just, it's cantilevered, so you can just push like this and let the bale drop back on the ground after you cut the netting. And you just unroll it, just like we see here for the cows. Taylor just asked me how I know which direction to unroll the bale. And there's 2 directions you can unroll. You can unroll the way the bale was rolled, which will come off very fast, which is good and bad. It depends on what you're trying to do. And then you can unroll the opposite direction that the bale was rolled, which guarantees you that it'll come off as slow as possible. So that's usually the way we try to go, just because if the cows don't eat the hay and you do have some remnants left, it's not too thick to smother out your fescue next spring, and you don't have to come back and mess with it in the spring. So how I do that, and how I tell, is if you take your hand and you go over the face of the bale, like this bale here, when I go to the right, it just glides over top of everything, right? It's not catching on anything. If I try to go to the left, I start catching on all the stems. So that's how I can tell which direction it's rolled. So I always want to go the opposite direction that the stems are pointing. So all the stems are pointing to the right. That's why my hand catches when I try to go to the left. So for this bale, I want to unroll it with the round bale roller facing this direction. And that will guarantee that it comes off as slow as possible.